Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 gear trends that are happening right now with guitar playing and for guitar players. These are things that are happening currently right now that are considered to be trends. Today, I'm going to be talking about 5 guitar trends that are happening right now as we speak and as you watch my video. By the way, thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to check out my video. I appreciate it a lot. So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 guitar trends happening right now, and I will give my 2 cents on each one. Number 1, simplicity is back. That's right. It used to be back in the 1970s, guitar solos had just started to meet their heyday. They were just starting to get more complex, speedier, and there's like a lot more shred action going on with the guitars in the 1970s. Come the 1980s, you got people like Doug Aldrich, Steve Vai coming out and just making the electric guitar explode with shredmatics and just all over the place. Marty Friedman. These are guitar gods, all right? Not so much lately. Guitarists have been finding more simple ways to get their emotions across through their music without the use of shredding. Not to say there are no shredders anymore, it's just that the majority happens to be that way. The second one, now this is going to be a little bit tricky to go into. Modeling amp versus the tube amplifier. Modeling amps, and I'm also going to put the guitar plugins that you got on your computer in this category versus your tube amplifiers. Back in the day, it used to be if you wanted to record an album or you were going to go play live, you needed to have the tube amp. Most likely the Marshall JCM 800, or you were going to get the Mesa Boogie triple rectifier and go out on stage and just rock it really hard, right? Today, not so much. A lot of the bands today have chosen to do with their live gigs is to use something such as the Kemper Profiler, where they can store their presets in this modeling amplifier, and everywhere they go on tour, there's no problem. They can have that same exact tone consistently throughout the tours. And if they're going to be going overseas, and they don't want to bring these amplifiers over, they can have a setup over there. Just download off the internet that preset, and going from New York City to Madrid, Spain. Same guitar tone, no problem. So what are your thoughts? Do you think the modeling amplifiers or guitar plugins have taken over compared to tube amplifiers? Me personally, I really don't think so 100%. I've got a Marshall JVM 205H and I have an EVH 5150. I've played several guitar plugins on the internet. I love plugins for the reason of recording, but I haven't really found a plugin that sounds like a Marshall. They sound similar, but they kind of have that digitalized feel to them. Not like the natural Marshall beautiful tone that we all grew up with, right? Number 3. This one is going to be a little bit tricky to get into. Genre boundaries. Now this is kind of a little bit more specific now because back in the day it used to be like, you like rock, you like metal, you like rap, you like country. Today it's more like, oh, I like deathcore, or like gent, metalcore, deathcore. It's beginning to kind of fade back out with that stuff right now. It's beginning to just get back into like, this is death metal. This is just generally metal music, thrash metal. There isn't going to be so much of this, oh, that's not thrash metal, that's thrashcore / gent core. It's just all the boundaries have just kind of meshed together. And you can tell that a lot if you listen to modern death metal, anything that's come out in the last 5 years. They have their breakdowns now, which is something that kind of came from modern metal or like the gent genre, where they would have these polyrhythmics going on. A lot of the new death metal bands, like Blood Red Throne, for example, using stuff that comes out of gent, but they're not a gent band. I consider them to be some modern death metal band. which I love, by the way. And if you haven't heard of Blood Red Throne, I'll try to put a link in the description below so you can check them out. One of my new favorite bands, by the way. Number 4, and I bet a lot of the guys watching this video right now fall into this, but offset guitar models. Now, for example, everybody knows what a Fender Telecaster looks like and what every single knob does, just off the top of your head, right? Same thing with Gibson Les Paul or even the Gibson SGs. You know what these knobs do. You know where the jack is, right? Offset models are the less popular models. Not to say they are not good, they're not popular, nobody cares, nobody wants them. But offset models are things like the Fender Jazzmaster, Gibson Firebird, for example. These are starting to become more and more popular as people are trying to create their own unique sounds, their own unique tones. That's the best way to do it, is grab yourself an offset guitar. Personally, that's kind of why I bought a Gibson SG, because I had a Gibson Les Paul and a lot of people play them. Gibson SG is the only guitar made by Gibson that has never been discontinued since it started. That's right. What about you? Do you have any kind of offset guitar models? What are your thoughts? What made you go with what you got rather than, say, a Fender Strat, Fender Telecaster, or the Gibson Les Paul, or LTD Eclipse? Number 5, something that I'm glad to see getting more popular is your extended range guitars. This Jackson is gorgeous, and it's a 7-string guitar. I was going to be going with an Ibanez, but because they have a back order and it wouldn't be here until around April, I decided Jackson. Personally, for myself, I've always wanted a Jackson guitar, but one of the problems that I have personally is if I'm going to spend $1,000, I want my $1,000 to go where I'm going to get the best bang for my buck. Sorry, LTD. I almost got an LTD 7-string guitar. It was $100 more than this. It had the Fishman Fluence pickups in it. It was all black. But I already have a guitar that has Fishman Fluence pickups in it, and I often tune it to D standard and just take the low string and tune it down to G sharp. So you got a low G sharp, and then your second string up is an octave up, G sharp. So, extended range guitars. What's going to make extended range guitars better than, say, if you were to take a 6-string guitar and tune it down to A sharp standard? Well, for one thing, you still get to keep your high notes up here, and I believe this guy here has a 26.5-inch scale length. So you have your low notes and it still stays pretty snappy. Crisp, not flubby. I don't need to get 65 gauge guitar string set to hit the low note that I'm looking for. I just have, I think, a 52 or it's a 54 gauge for my low string down here, and it sounds beautiful. Stock Jackson pickups, by the way, they're beautiful. And one of the other things that I personally like about extended range, this is a 7-string guitar, by the way. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, 7-string. I like 7-string guitars because you can still do chords on your lower strings. I did try to play an 8-string once before, and I did not like it because when you try doing chords, they just become muddy. You might be saying cut down your bass on your amplifier a little bit, but it didn't have the same effect. This has just enough low end for me personally to be happy. I have 6-string guitars that also sound really good for the type of music I bought them for playing. I bought the Gibson SG for when I'm playing rock music, and I have the LTD, which I bought for playing like traditional old school 90s death metal, and I bought this just for when I want to play metal that's really tuned down low, but I wanted to keep things sharp. So, what are your thoughts about extended range guitars? Do you like them? Do you think that they're stupid? A lot of people that play 6-string guitars feel that these are kind of ridiculous. However, If you get used to playing a 7-string guitar, you rather quickly fall in love with them. I used to have a 7-string Ibanez before, and I think it was $450 brand new. It was an RG series, all black, and it sounded really good. But like everybody else, we all fall on hard times, and we just find the gear that we hardly ever use and sell it off. And that money helped me get by for a short little while. I got back up on my feet. Long story short, if you watch my old videos, I had a Gibson Les Paul Studio. That's what I bought with that money. That beautiful Smokehouse Burst Gibson Les Paul Studio. It's gotta be the most beautiful thing Gibson's ever made. And I paid $1,500 for it. Well, that's it for my video. So what did you guys think about all 5 of my points? Do you agree? Do you have any specific thoughts about them? I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Have a great day.